Hey guys, good morning. So today we're going to get into my thriller book recommendations. So I have 6 books for you guys today. So the first one we're going to start with is Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This book was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. This is one of my favorite books that I read last year, and honestly one of the best thrillers ever. Like, I just felt like I was watching a movie the whole time. The chemistry between the characters was crazy. The plot twists, things just kept happening that I did not expect at all. Literally, it's like everything that is in a good thriller, like suspense, and literally everything was present throughout the whole book. Like, it was just a very well done thriller. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it, by the way. So Trisha and Ethan are moving into this big house that was once owned by a psychiatrist. And so basically the woman Trisha, she starts to discover stuff about the psychiatrist and like bad things that he would do in his practice. And they start discovering things in the house and everything. And it's like a little spooky book. Okay, the next book is No One Can Know by Kate Alice Marshall. This book was a 3.5 out of 5 stars for me, but it is still on this list because it is a really, really good story. This is also a book of the month book. So this book follows this woman, but also her sister, so this family, and so the woman and her husband, they end up either losing their jobs or something like that. I can't remember exactly what happens. I read it a while ago, but they end up having to move into her and her sister's childhood home, which then starts to reveal things about like people in her town. Her husband starts hearing stuff about their childhood and things that people think about her, things that she did in her childhood. So really, really goes well into the characters' past lives and their present lives, and reveals like throughout the whole book reveals like what truly happened in their childhood with their parents' murder. And so yeah, it's a really interesting, like very suspenseful story. Okay, and the next book I don't have with me because I listened to an audiobook of it, but I'll put a picture here. It is The Coworker by Frida McFadden, the same author as Never Lie. And The Coworker was 4 out of 5 stars for me. There was a bunch of really good plot twists, especially towards like the very, very end of the book. It like all unfolds right there. So you really have to get to the end of that book. It was to really get it. But I wasn't expecting anything that happened with any of the plot twists. Like the characters, you're like, oh my gosh, like this character is this, like what, like I totally did not even see that in them. Like it just unveils so much about every character. But basically, okay, so The Coworker follows this woman, and she realizes that one of her coworkers is missing one day, who always shows up to work, always does everything, but it turns out something's happened to her, maybe, we don't know. But then it also turns out, we like understand further throughout the book, I don't want to like spoil it, but that the main character, this woman, she used to know this coworker in their childhood, and someone may be trying to do something to her. I don't know. I can't literally say anything about this book without spoiling it, but just know that it is good, and Frida McFadden is an amazing thriller writer, so yeah. Okay, the next book is Layla by Colleen Hoover. I know for like a romance writer, it's like to have a thriller book be that good is like different, but this thriller is really, really amazing. This is like one of the last books I read last year, or one of the first I read this year, so I haven't read it for a while. But there is some romance in this as well. I mean, she is a romance writer, so there's a little bit of romance, but also a little bit of spicy. And also, I will say this too, if you want to read this book, it does have like some paranormal things in it, because I know like some people are into that. They're into like other thriller books, like the previous ones that I've talked about. But yeah, this one has like some little paranormal like stuff in it. But yeah, I just thought it was like a really unique plot, and it was done very well, because I personally think that Colleen Hoover is a really good writer at romance and at thrillers. So the next 2 books are written by the same author, Natasha Preston. And this is The Cellar. This is one of like my favorite books that I've ever read. Like, I haven't read this one for probably a couple years now, and I remember every little thing about it. Like, I will always remember this book. But this is a 5 out of 5 stars for me. So yeah, like I said, if you've read this book, it's weird. Like, it is scary and it is weird, but it's one of but like I know that it's weird, but it's one of my favorite books ever because it's just done so well. And literally, if any of these books are made into a movie, I think that it needs to be this one, because like the story is just so crazy. This is also, I think, is the best Natasha Preston book. I have like at least 10 of her books over there, and I've read all of them, and I think this one is the best, literally, in my opinion. Follows this girl Summer who gets kidnapped and place that they call the cellar, but she realizes that there's other people there that have been kidnapped, and other women, and they have this whole like system that they do. In this book, also something that makes it so much better than it would be if it was just like a kidnapping story, is that it actually goes into some chapters, only a few chapters of the whole book are told from the kidnapper's point of view, and it's so interesting. So this is The Hunting. This one is newer, at least within the last year, I think, newer than that one. But this book was also a 5 out of 5 stars for me. This one is also more of a young adult novel than all of the books in this video. But yeah, this novel definitely has like the Scream movie vibes, if you've seen that, which makes it sound silly, but it is a really good book. And one thing that I thought this book did really well was go into the characters' backstories very well, because this story opens up where like you kind of feel like you're like, is there a first book to this? Like, is this a second one? But no, this is just the story. But a lot of the backstory for this book takes place like last year or something, like during the timeline of this. But they go in to talk about that throughout the story. So like the first like chapter, you may be like, what's happening? But other than that, you'll see everything. So yeah, but I love Natasha. She's so good at telling stories. So yeah. Okay, so that was all my thriller book recommendations, and let me know if you guys like any of these books, and thank you for watching. Sorry I don't have a lot. I read more romance and like historical fiction and literary fiction and stuff than I do thrillers, but I want to read more thrillers, so I'm starting to get more into them. But yeah, thank you guys, and bye.